All right, what's going on, everybody? Gaby Card Stacks here, and I'm going to be breaking down every single player in the Bowman University Chrome 2025 checklist. And I'm going to try to make an individual video for every single player so you can get an in depth analysis and breakdown and know exactly what's going on with these guys. So, I'm going to be doing all of this on my Patreon, but I wanted to make this video for free for everyone. I'm going to post it on YouTube and Patreon. And if you enjoy this content, if you like this type of analysis and you like learning about the checklist and you want to know about all of these guys, then I think the Patreon is a great place for you to be. So again, just wanted to make this free for everyone. And I wanted to pick a guy who not a lot of people might know about. I've got some, thoughts on him as a player in general. And, I just thought it was a good, I'll hit you with the quarterback, right? So not giving away too much secret sauce, but I thought he was an interesting player to talk about. We know about 70 names in the checklist, or at least I do, that I've been able to confirm. Tops Rips also had this article. They highlighted a couple. I do have a video about this already on YouTube. I've talked about most of the news that's come out in terms of the checklist. And there were some names here that I'm like, a lot of big names. Do I think that they need to be broken down in depth for a free video? Sure. It's not really groundbreaking news if I talk about one of these guys, I guess. So just wanted to hit you with something a little bit more valuable, I guess. I think you'll learn something about Maalik Murphy here. I thought about a couple names. Casey Conception was interesting. DeAndre Moore, maybe a Whit Weeks, I guess. But I thought about Matt Zollers. Again, I'm going to be breaking down all these guys, and I'm going to try to do it in video form with individual videos. I will be going through the checklist. I will be ranking every single player from positional value. So every single quarterback, every single running back, every receiver, every defensive player, I will be ranking all of them. And I will have them in order from however many there are, one to the very bottom. So I will be doing that. I will have multiple videos, hours and hours and hours of breakdown, but I'm going to try to do individual videos in case you do just have some interest in a specific player and you want to know a little bit more. So again, we're going with Maalik Murphy. So this is my little tracker here, and this is everything that you'll be getting. I've got some notes, some ranking systems and everything. I talk about prices and just my expectations and what I hope for, at least, or I'm guessing here, but I hope to be right. So what I do for all my players, I have Gaby Card Stacks rank. I have 10 rankings here. And I tried to categorize them as best as I could. I'm always open to suggestions. If you have anything where it's like, oh, this would make more sense for me to, process in my brain when you see the tags. But I have top 5 pick, and these are like, this would be your Ruben Baines right now. Just guys who are having so much buzz that it's like, hey, this guy seems like he's a lock. Heisman contender, and this is like an elite status. Like there's gonna be maybe, obviously only 5 picks in the top 5, and in the checklist, there's probably only 2 or 3 guys that, are probably worthy, right? So it's not going to be, 10 guys who I'm like, oh, I think they could be a top 5 pick. It's like, no, these are like the guys. So just want to be, more mindful of selecting those guys. Heisman contender. So again, just the top players in college football in general. There's just that tier, that top 10 that's in that race. And just trying to be more mindful again of keeping it separate and keeping them more legitimate, I guess. All-American, these are, top of your position group. These are still among the top, 20, 25 players in the country, but at the same time, not quite on the Heisman level or a top 5 pick. And there's going to be some crossover, but this is, I should also mention, is just a mix of kind of the general public and also my own thoughts. Like, there's going to be some players that are going to be selling super high, like a Jackson Arnold, 2-3 years ago. I was totally out on him, and I'm like, yo, he's a hobby hype type of guy for me. He hasn't proven a damn thing for me. So just guys like that, right, that I'm not super high on, but just trying to evaluate, right? Like a Ty Simpson would be in a Heisman contender for me right now, where he might just, well, I guess he is in consideration for the Heisman. So, again, just take it, try to make it a mix of both is what I try to do. All conference, still a very strong player. You're in the top 100 probably in terms of college football. A all conference, first team, second team, honorable mention. It doesn't matter to me. That is like, you are a top player. You are probably getting drafted, right? All conference, has a very strong shot at being drafted at some point. Hobby hype, again, just one of those guys like a Jackson Arnold. I'm like, I can't get behind it. So Stash and Speculate, this is a fun group that I always like. It's just one of those guys that you're like, hey, I'm going to stash this guy and see what happens. And so like a Chris Vezina for me has been a stash and speculate where it's like, hey, Clemson doesn't use the transfer portal at all. We've seen that in years past. That's like Dabo's Achilles heel, apparently. He doesn't use the portal. Everyone clowns on him for it. Well, guess what? Cade Klubnik is going out next year, and they don't use the portal. So you know who's backup? Chris Vezina. I just thought he's a great stash and speculate. We were buying his autos at $6 to $10, and they're up to $20 right now. So just players like that. Breakout potential. This one's kind of interesting, right? Like I would have put like a Cam Scadaboo here, where it's like, man, I believe in this player, man. They're going to be all over highlight reels. They're a fun player to watch. I'll give you another little secret tip here. Like Haynes King to me would be breakout potential. Just someone who just emerges and just becomes a sensation, a Diego Pavia. I'll give you that one too. So those are kind of like the big kind of, they have potential to be household names. They might not be the best players, but they're just fun. They're on, highlights every single week. I think that's a fun category as well. But I also like kind of the middle of the checklist and bottom of the checklist. Dart throw. This is, risk. You hope it hits. There's just some risk involved, but usually, low risk, but a pretty decent upside, I would say. Lottery ticket. This is, you're likely losing, but it could pay out huge. And for me, this would be like an Alex Orji last year, transferring from UNLV. A lot of people are out on him. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but hey, if he were healthy and, if he were the starter, I don't think they'd be 6-0 to this point. But if he was, then hey, you're looking at a potential, a lot of hype. There's a lot of, breakout potential from Alex Orji. If he's running over guys 180 yards a game, he's massive. He's built like a linebacker, right? But you're likely going to lose. So that's where I would have put a guy like Alex Orji for me. And then Boof, this is where we don't want to buy guys. To me, this is, just guys that I'm trying to think of someone from last year's set that would just be a Boof. I can't even think of anybody, but it's the guys that you don't want to look at, and you just don't want. Emmett Moorhead from 2 years ago from Bowman U 2023, right? So we want to avoid those guys. We don't want to see a lot of them in the checklist, and just go on from there. Now, I think I did mention this already, but I'm gonna be ranking every single player by position. Maybe I didn't, but if I did, I apologize, but I'm going to talk about it again. I'm going to rank every single quarterback in the checklist, 1 to however many there are. And that's going to allow you to be like, oh, okay, this is how Gaby feels about this guy compared to this guy, compared to this guy. So I'm going to be doing that for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive players. And then I'll probably make a sleepers pick or list, I guess. Like these are the guys that like, hey, I'm higher than most are going to be, or like, hey, this is a sneaky player that I just think is really good that a lot of people are going to dismiss. So if I didn't mention that already, there you go. I'm going to be ranking all of them by position all throughout the checklist. So let's start with Maalik Murphy. Who is this guy? He's a quarterback at Oregon State. It is his Bowman first. So again, this is all the information you're going to get and more when I go through my tracker here. He's 6'5", 234 pounds. Coming out of high school, he was number 12 in the country as a quarterback. And then when he entered the portal to hit Oregon State, he was number 8 overall among quarterbacks. And he's a redshirt junior. I've got some price and some notes in my rank here, but I don't want to get to that yet. So that's why I've got it zoomed in. So just brief overview. This is Maalik Murphy, quarterback, big kid out of Oregon State, redshirt junior. So let's go to his 24/7 sports profile. This is a kid out of Junipero Serra. This is a powerhouse in Gardena, LA, California, South LA. And he was a baller there. He won a state title there. He was all state in California. It's a big deal. He was Elite 11 finals. He was a good quarterback coming out of high school. 6'5", 235. Again, big kid. Pretty highly ranked as a prospect and as a transfer there. And again, I don't think I've mentioned this. He started his career at Texas, did not play his first year in 2022. And then in his second year, I guess we can go here into stats here. Second year, he played a little bit. He played in, 5 or 7 games. And from there, he did make 2 starts. He beat BYU and Kansas State, I believe, in overtime with that is also the Big 12 Texas. This is not SEC Texas quite yet. So played in a couple games, but again, it was just kind of, Quinn Ewers' team and Arch was coming in. So I guess he saw the writing on the wall and ended up going to Duke. And Duke had a pretty good season last year. If you go here, I guess we'll go here. And this is why I think Maalik Murphy is an interesting guy. And they're 4-2 this season. I like Duke. I'm higher on Duke than most people will be for sure. But if you go back to this 2024 season, this is his first year as a starter, transfers to Duke, They go 9-4, 9-3 overall in the regular season. That is very impressive for Duke, right? Like most people would think, oh, Duke, 5-7, barely a bowl eligible team. Like people probably still dismissed Duke being a 9-win team last year. Like, oh, they got lucky or whatever. Like, oh, it's a good program. They had a good team. They've got a lot of NFL talent that they kept on the team this year. That's why I'm also pretty high on them. But sure, are some of these teams, not the greatest? Elon, Northwestern, UConn, Middle Tennessee, UNC. I value that win last year. Certainly not this year's team. Georgia Tech. Hey, I think that's a solid loss. I've said Georgia Tech is winning 9-10 games this year, and they're undefeated right now into week 8. Florida State, that was a down year for them. You take SMU, college football playoff team, to overtime. Not bad. Miami didn't have much of a defense. You were able to put 31 on them. NC State, I think, is a solid team last year. Virginia Tech wasn't awful. For Wake Forest, and then that happens. You got blown out pretty badly in this game, but it is what it is. So yeah, I just don't think, again, I think Duke is a good team, but I don't think you win 9 games at Duke with a bad quarterback, right? So I started to perk my ears up with Maalik Murphy. He had autos in Leaf. I think I picked up a couple of them. But then at the end of the season, just things seemed to be going south with NIL, and he wanted to get paid, and I don't think Duke was ready to pay him, even though they ended up paying Darian Mensah. So that's what kind of makes this a little bit cloudy here. But from that standpoint, then hits the portal. Again, he was ranked top 10 in the country among all quarterbacks. Let's just see who these 7 quarterbacks were, just to give you more perspective. That's insane to rank Nico. Although, hey, I'm a fan of Jerry Neuheisel. He's a good guy and a good coach. Carson Beck, okay, cool. I'm fine with that. I like Carson Beck. I know they just lost tonight to who they lose to? Louisville, but I like Carson Beck. I just didn't think that Miami was going to be very good. John Mateer, people love him. Cool. Fernando Mendoza, they say is the number 1 pick. JKS, that's actually pretty crazy that they did rank him that high, and I do think he is pretty solid. This is a crazy ranking. This guy is on the bench, and just another Florida State miss from Mike Norvell. Darian Mensah, so his replacement. I like Darian Mensah, a San Luis Obispo kid. I'm wearing the shirt, so I like Darian Mensah, and then they had Maalik Murphy. So ahead of guys like Wegman, fine, I'm cool with that. Gronowski, Miller Moss, Bo Prabula, Jackson Arnold, my guy Walker White, Aaron Nolan. So a couple notable names, nothing too crazy. Angeli, Devin Dampier, interesting. So yeah, that's where he was in terms of ranking. So he goes to Oregon State now, and they find themselves. Why do I have this tab? Oh, there we go. So he goes to Oregon State now. This is where he is, redshirt junior again, 6'5". They're having a tough time. They are 0-7 right now. And I don't think you're a bad quarterback if you're going 9-3 at Duke. Like, sure, is it a team game? Yes, but I think you need a good quarterback. And actually at Duke, he had, I think, 4 game-winning drives, 4 game-winning touchdown throws at Duke. So sure, are they trailing in the fourth quarter? Yes, but is he coming up clutch? Also, yes. So he was delivering, and I really liked that about him as well. Now, going into the season, again, I think there's something there with Maalik Murphy. He goes to Oregon State, again, NIL dispute. I don't know what happens. But then I look at their schedule all offseason. I'm like, man, this does not look good. They've got Hankerson, the transfer quarterback from Colorado, who was a monster. And I guess we could probably, let's go to stats here. I mean, look at what Hankerson did last year. Anthony, I wanted to say Aaron Hankerson, but that didn't sound right. You go here. This is a Colorado transfer as well. He had 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns last year. They're just not getting it going. They're airing it out a lot more, and we'll talk about that as well. But I just looked at the schedule preseason. I do also on Patreon, I did a schedule start. So I did every single conference, and I was like, I think they're winning this many games. I didn't do it for teams like Oregon State just because it probably wasn't, worth my time. But I visualized this, and I was like, I don't like the way that this looks. Cal, you're a group of 5 team at Oregon State right now. I just didn't think you would be able to beat Cal. Fresno State, that's a bad loss looking back on it. Fresno State does not look very good in my opinion. I know they're like 5-2, but not for me. Texas Tech, I love Texas Tech. I think they're making the college football playoffs. The injury concerns at quarterback do give me some pause, but I love Texas Tech. Oregon, you're just not going to win at Oregon as Oregon State. I get it. Anything can happen in a rivalry game, and I'll always kind of, hey, there's a chance in those rivalry games. You don't know what happens, but at the end of the day, your best start here was going to be maybe 2-2, but likely 1-3. and they didn't even hit Fresno State. You get Houston, again, a power conference team versus Oregon State. I don't like it. They probably should have won, to be honest. That was an interesting game. That was a late one. App State, you're traveling all the way across the country. Winnable game, but again, at this point, I really think you're 1-5, 1-4 right here. And I just don't like you traveling across state to App State, or across the country to App State. And I would have you at like 1-5. Wake Forest, again, another power team. It just didn't stack up. Like, look at all these power conference teams that they're having to play. I just didn't like it. So I wanted to stay away from it. Lafayette, hey, go out and get one this week, Oregon State. Please, come on. You got to beat Lafayette. You get Washington State twice. Sam Houston looks terrible. They haven't won a game either. So someone's got to win a game there. Someone's getting one win on this Sam Houston game. And then Tulsa, just the way that their season's trending, I just don't like it. So they did fire their coach. And that also leads me to kind of where I'm going with all of this. He's transferred a couple times. They just fired their head coach. They're 0-7 now. Granted, let's go to his stats here in his game log. I said, they had this 1,500 or this 15 touchdown guy, 1,000-yard guy, and now, not really producing a whole lot. You know why? Because they are just airing it out. They are letting him. They paid him money, and they're like, hey, go throw it 48 times a game, 44 times a game, 33, 45, 30. That's going to happen when you're playing Oregon, I guess. But there's probably a running clock on you at that point. But they're letting him throw it and do what he wants, and they're going to let him play. Maybe they're like, hey, please, Maalik Murphy, please stay for next year. But I don't know. Firing the head coach, I think that kind of maybe puts the writing on the wall for him, and he's going to hit the portal. So that's what makes it interesting for me. Now, if he stays at Oregon State, let's go into this. They have Houston at Houston. That's a tough one. They've got Texas Tech. That's not ideal. Montana, I'll have to look in and see where Montana is, if they got ravaged by the transfer portal, if they've kept their continuity this year. I don't really look at FCS until after the season, once the portal and everything settles in, because it's just way harder to keep up with FBS and FCS at the same time for me. I only have so much RAM. So that's that. They're also in the Pac-12 now, and this is the new revamped Pac-12. Boise State, Fresno State, CSU, Gonzaga, who won't have football, I don't believe, San Diego State, Texas State, Utah State. So not crazy, but Texas State, that's going to be a good team. You always can count on them. And who else do we have? I guess Boise State as well. So I imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I imagine you probably play all of these, and you don't even play Gonzaga. So they're probably going to have some more non-conference, maybe some duplicates. Do they play too? We're going to have to look at their schedule and see what that looks like exactly. But, if he stays at Oregon State, not a lot of people are watching Oregon State in general. Not a lot of people are going to care about this new Pac-12. It's going to be tough. And, he's not putting up crazy numbers, I think, right now to really justify. But what I like about him is the transfer portal potential and just kind of the size and everything that comes with it. So what do I have? I have his price right now, and I do price estimates for all players in this checklist. I think his autos will probably land at about $10 to $12-ish, and they might dip into the $7. It depends on the whole Oregon State transfer portal in that situation. But I think he would be similar to like a Seth Hennigan last year. He'll be a little bit below a Noah Fafita, just guys like that. Noah Fafita is kind of, that's a little bit of a reach, I would say, but more of the Seth Hennigan, but not quite like at the Bryson Barnes level. Like Bryson Barnes autos were like $2.50. Maalik, I think, just had, recruiting acumen that helped. He's got the size. He won 9 games at Duke compared to a Bryson Barnes, who was just kind of a bench player at Utah, stepped in for Cam Rising when he was hurt, and then is now at Utah State. So somewhere between, I think, that Seth Hennigan and the Bryson Barnes level. And I think it'll be around there. So yeah, maybe I'll go $9. I think double digits is a little tough, especially when you've got the Oregon State logo. I think a lot of people are going to dismiss that as well and be like, Oregon State, don't care. It's not, Georgia. So here I've got some of the stats here. I think I've covered most of this already. Oh, he was a creative player meme. There was I'll edit this maybe for YouTube, but there was a meme where like he's got the visor, he's got the dreads. I'm going to try one search. Maalik Murphy, create a player meme, Gardena. I don't remember what it was. high school. Let me do that. Create a player. There we go. There it is. So it was, I don't know if sound is going to come up. I don't want it to echo or anything, but this was the whole that he was. Okay, looks like we're oh, there we go. Kid, high school. That was he's kind of been on the internet, around here and there. So, what do I have here? I put him at stash and speculate. And this is really one, dependent on price, and two, is he going to go in the portal, right? And with the Bowman University releasing on October 31st, we'll see what happens, right? Like the transfer portal is not going to open for another month or so. And then we'll find out his destination in December. Now, I think he could go. Go back to the West or East Coast. Go to like a Virginia Tech. Go to a Wake Forest next year, right? Go to one of those programs, and I don't think that would be a bad little play. It would be a dart throw, so I guess to go back here, it would be somewhere between the stash and speculate and the dart throw. It depends on the price that you're like. If you're getting these autos at like $2 or $3, shoot, stash and speculate all you want. At $9, I'm probably not going to stash and speculate. So I guess I'd put them between a dart throw or maybe even a lottery ticket and a stash and speculate. It depends on price. And that, again, this is just a rough estimate of what I think price will look like. And, I could talk myself down to probably $6 or $7 and I'd be fine with it. So I was probably high on 12. I don't know why I thought about that. But I have Seth Hennigan. He was in the $8 to $15 range for the most part. And he was a 4-year starter. Memphis was a very good team. I think it's a little bit different with Maalik Murphy there. So that's kind of where I'm at on Maalik Murphy. Good player. And just the size intrigues me. The ability that he had at Duke. Another one, do I have this here? The most passing touchdowns in a single season at Duke, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, just the success at Duke really intrigues me, and I just, I'm kind of writing off this season. Like going in, I was like, I don't know, I'm not buying Maalik Murphy because of the schedule. And now there's huge upside. But if he were to have knocked off, and here's also the problem. Even if you were to beat Texas Tech, people in the general public, you're fighting the general public a lot of times. So like a lot of hardcore people like myself and other people in the Patreon, they're going to understand like, yo, Texas Tech, that's a good squad, but the general public is like, oh, Texas Tech must not be very good. But like if you knock off a couple of those wins, like if they have like 4 wins right now, you're like, dang, that's a good squad. But again, the general public, you're kind of fighting that. People aren't waiting to watch Oregon State at night when they kick off at 8:30. So again, kind of the issue there. Now, I should also say, if he stays at Oregon State, and again, we'll find out. This is very fluid and how I'll be ranking. Then I think he for sure drops to lottery ticket, and I would be there. But for the time being, he's a stash and speculate. If you rip him in your box on release day, you should definitely sell it. But let's say like you're at a card show, you see it for $5, I'm stashing it, and I'm gonna see. Worst case, I'm selling it for $4. I don't know, $5 breaking even, net losing on fees. I just think he's a solid little stash for the time being. It depends on price. Maybe he comes out super hot at the gate, but I can't imagine a quarterback who's starting 0-7 right now and his coach just got fired and people are just going to write him off. I can't imagine it's going to be a super pricey auto. If it's below $5, shoot, I might risk it all and buy all of them that I can. So just depends. But if you rip it, hey, try to, if you rip it on release day, I should say, try to sell it because those prices are Looney Tunes. If you rip it, a week or two later, at that point, hey, base auto, might as well just try to sell it or try to keep it and just see what happens. So that's what I've got for you on Maalik Murphy. So again, if you enjoyed this video, if you like this type of content, I know you would enjoy Patreon because this is what I talk about every time. On Patreon, I talk about I do weekly recaps, or I guess I'll start weekly previews. So I will be previewing every single game and I'll be like, hey, this is what we're watching for this game. This is what we're watching for, hey, here's a guy who's been trending up. I'm looking at this guy. And then when we recap it, I usually do those on Sunday. I will do, hey, this is the performance that we saw. These are our top performers of the week and everything, who's trending up. Hey, these prices are starting to spike up, or he had a great performance and no one's talking about it. Those are the types of plays. I do checklist breakdowns for all checklists for the most part. Leaf, there's just a lot of players, a lot of time, a lot of sets. So I don't go too into depth. I just kind of give you the top 20 names. And then, in the off season, that's when we make all our money, man. That is just insane. When the prices drop, no one's really paying attention. We were buying Ruben Bain autos for $5 back in the day. Makai Lemon and Antonio Williams were like $8. So that's where we make a lot of the money for sure, is in the off season, paying attention to the news, the mock drafts, everything. So that's everything. If you enjoyed, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe, consider joining the Patreon. Peace. Love you. Bye.